Sea levels rising, hotter weather, and stronger typhoons. Now, these are just some of the worsening impacts of climate change. As a country prone to natural disasters, what can we collectively do to address this crisis before it's too late? We have with us today via Zoom Energy Utilization Management Bureau Director Patrick Aquino. Good morning, Patrick.
Good morning, Paolo, and to the viewers of New Day.
It's great to have you, Patrick. Where are we in terms of the country situation due to climate change? We're extremely vulnerable, aren't we?
Well, we are a vulnerable country. We're exposed to extreme weather conditions, let's say typhoons, and then, of course, extreme heat. So on the part of the energy sector, our focus has been to make sure that the policies and programs that are being implemented are, of course, minimizing the impact of climate change. Specifically, of course, we're implementing under the Philippine Energy Plan, the downstream oil deregulation sector. We're ensuring that the fuels that we have are compliant with the Clean Air Act. In the coming year, of course, we'll be also informing the public of the greenhouse gas emission impact, let's say, of their vehicles for road transport under the Philippine Vehicle Fuel Economy Labeling Program. So these are just some of the things that the Department of Energy is doing in partnership with our other national government agencies to mitigate the impact of climate change.
Right. Patrick, are there any other specific adaptation measures that are being implemented to address the impacts of climate change, especially the rising sea levels?
Of course, parcel of what we are experiencing is due to the emissions. And towards that end, of course, the DOE is working on improving the clean air standards under the Philippine national standards. Of course, we are also implementing the Biofuels Act of 2007, wherein, of course, the blends are being carefully studied. And all of these are, of course, aimed at making sure that the emissions are lower. We're doing this, of course, in partnership with our private stakeholders because we do want to bring in all of these solutions in a manner that's sustainable and supported by the industry.
Of course, cleaner air, less impact of climate change, less sea level rise, and extreme weather conditions. Now, many Filipinos are still not aware of what climate change is all about. How can Filipinos contribute to somehow minimizing its effects? Can you cite examples that we can do on a daily basis, perhaps?
Well, it goes boiled down to two things that the energy family is always saying. One is that we support the increased production, let's say, of renewable energy, so that we get to shift from conventional energy sources to the more renewable ones. So that will be your solar, wind, ocean, geothermal, just to name a few. And that's on the generation or the supply side. What individual Filipinos can do on a daily basis, of course, to be more energy efficient. Do carpooling if you do have vehicles, take the public transport, and in your households, of course, make sure that the appliances, when not in use, are turned off. These are practical ways of Filipinos providing the assistance, because the lesser we consume and the more we use renewable energy, the lesser the emissions that we produce. And we get to not only save the environment in our country, but also towards energy security and sustainability, which is, of course, ultimately the goal of every Filipino.
It's a lot friendlier to the pocket as well. November has been declared as National Clean Air Month. Can you reiterate some of the goals of the Clean Air Act in the Philippines?
Well, the goal of the Clean Air Act here in the Philippines is, of course, minimize air particulate pollution. This is being done through monitoring of facilities. Our partners here in the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, of course, are committed in making sure that industry sectors and even the transport sector is compliant with this. And of course, our emphasis always is on what individuals can do, corporations can do. And that's, of course, making sure that the fuels that you're using are compliant with the clean air standards. And of course, making sure that your pollution control officers and the emissions of your generating facilities are meeting the Clean Air Act standards.
Right. Let's talk about clean air. Air quality in the country so far. What is the status? What are the primary contributors to air pollution here?
Well, for urban areas, of course, Paolo, the greatest driver in terms of particulate emissions, of course, is coming from the transport sector. And that's why there's a renewed push right now from the Philippine side, on the Philippine government. Last year, we passed the Electric Vehicle Industry Development Act, or EVIDA, wherein we're trying to decarbonize or shift the transport sector, of course, to a more cleaner option, particularly pure battery electric vehicles. They are zero emission, and that's the goal really for urban areas, of course. And then there's also a continued push to improve the fuel standards so that for the internal combustion engine vehicles, the emissions, of course, will be lower. And for our other sectors, of course, we continue the monitoring and making sure that the standards are on point and that they're compliant with them.
Right. Patrick, how does the government, especially the energy department, collaborate with communities, industries, other stakeholders to continuously enforce the law?
Well, our collaboration, of course, we do it in various forms through information, education, and communication campaigns. That's one way. We partner with state universities and colleges or even private higher education institutions. We communicate, of course. The greatest power that we can do is really inform our public. And we do this on a regular basis. As you said, this month, of course, has been declared for awareness for clean air. Next month, it will be National Energy Consciousness Month. So all of these programs are really aimed at communicating to the public what they can do and how they can be empowered to make informed decisions, of course, to improve air quality, improve our energy security.
Well, November is Clean Air Month. It's coming to an end, though, and we certainly don't want to forget about it. In what way is the Clean Air Act integrated into broader climate change policies in the Philippines?
Well, of course, the way it's integrated, we're looking at a whole-of-nation approach as outlined in Ambition natin 2040. We do want to have a comfortable, sustainable life. And part of that would be to, have a healthy environment. So the government is taking the big approach of making sure that industries, the standards in terms of emissions, and even on the information to the broader public are really made aware of all of these programs and policies that are being implemented.
Right. I think it's all about finding the balance and all of us pitching in and doing our part. Patrick, it was great talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us today.